Hello.
Didn't you tell me to be here at 1 or 2?
I'm on. Where are you? I'm in the room.
I'm in the room too. It says please relax in our CPS waiting room.
Well, I don't know what you're in, but you're not in this room.
Holy shit. That's so weird. I'm happy I called you.
So let's check. I don't know what you're in. Maybe you're in the other one.
That's so.
I know. I mean, I got your last change. Everything's just up in the air right now. So let's see. Registration. You're not view, Toby.
Wait a minute. Maybe I'm in the wrong. Oh, travel photography artistic.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room. Just get out of there. Come to the link that I sent this morning. I'm resending right now. Okay. Thanks.
There it is.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. You there?
About that. Hi, crazy kid.
I got your thing, but unfortunately my system blocks everything now. So I've had to, the last 20 minutes has been trying to figure out how to get it to work. So I think I got it to work, but
I sent
can't
you
get
it's
things
just
last
about
minute.
the 2 other cyclic things because
I know,
you
but I'm
didn't
just
have
telling
it.
you, we have a challenge. Let's see if this works. I had to like circumvent a system here. Tell me if this works. Ready? Let's see, don't I have to like sound optimize for
By the
video
way, do I have
sharing?
to send you a bill for these 4 things or you'll send it yourself? I don't have to think about it, do I?
I think you guys just send me an email to remind me. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, now go to the second one.
Okay, this one works. The other one does not work. So when I click on this, that will work. Although it'll take me out of this thing, which is a problem. But this one down here does not work. Museum of
Sharon, come here. One of them doesn't work. That's bad. Does that one work?
Yeah, these look like they work. So I can tell. See, when I point on top of it.
Sharon, this one doesn't work. He said this one doesn't work. Oh, I'm so upset.
That one works.
I know that one works. That one works. But look at the next one doesn't work. He'll show you. You sent them as both? But look at the second one. Can you come in here, Sharon? Go show her what doesn't work.
I will in a second. Hold on. I've got like 12,000 things open here and I'm just trying to navigate everything right now. It's just not a good morning. Hello, Sharon.
Hi.
See, the problem is when I click on those, it takes me away from what I'm sharing. So now I've lost the whole thing again. Damn it. It's just, let's see, where is this thing? Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Right now, it's creating issues for me because I've got things to share and then when I share it from your I have to, whatever, nothing comes through my system. My whole computer here, my office blocks everything. So I had to do it as a PowerPoint, but when I share it through the PowerPoint, it disappears. Sorry, PDF. So I got to find out where this PDF went and it just is creating challenges for me. So hold on for 1 second. Let's do it this way. So the first, I don't know what this one, cyclic art. That's not it, right? Damn it.
Yes. Wait.
Today it's from Private Passion.
Yeah, but no.
That's the wrong one. I'm just telling you, it's the wrong one. That's the prior one. I'm trying to find. I'm telling you, it's the wrong one. Okay, so I got to open up.
We called it the same thing, but we added.
No, I'm just telling you, it's the wrong one.
All right.
It's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. It's just that my system. Here we go. Now I can open it, right? What I've got to do is I've got to open up. I had to save whatever you sent me in a different format. I had to save it as a PDF because the PowerPoint does not come through to my computer.
So
in fact,
for the third one, let's send it the way you want it. It's so easy.
I know, but hold on. Don't do anything yet because what I have to do is open this thing. Okay. So I have this in a way that I want it. So I'm just saying the first YouTube works because it's the harp player, right? Yes.
Right.
The second YouTube is the Museum of Cyclic Art that does not open.
So Sharon, can you send him that? We don't have, we never copied it. We need that second one to send to him. That's like 1.5.
The third one is the Goulandris Foundation.
You want me to
Right.
send a PDF of it?
You want her to send a PDF of it?
It's not a PDF. Just send me the link that works.
Send the link that works.
So the link, well, all right, let me think.
And then you have that fascinating Greek artist. I love that video.
Hold
Towards
on.
the
I'm
end.
seeing what else I've got here that I have to just open up in advance. Okay. Hold on. It's artist talk. It's something artist Takis.
That's him. That's him.
So I'm copying that link, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have these pre-opened somewhere, so maybe it'll work.
That is what Sharon does for me when I do it from here. Yeah.
Okay, so oh sorry, that's Takis, and then there's one more. It says story behind something.
Yes. It's how to use Takis talks from the Tate, and then the story
Then I got
behind
another one.
the art collection. But we might not have enough time to see it. But I want those are long. That's just for the background. The people are going to want to ask stories. It's a fascinating story, and that's like one is it's long. So I'm just
So everything works other than, for some reason, it's the National Archaeological Museum of Athens. It's the Museum of Cycladic Art, the YouTube one. That one does not open for some reason.
It's the third slide museum.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let me
Yeah.
just.
That YouTube, I just need a link to. So what I have to do now is go back here and see if this works. Share. I was running out of time. I haven't had time to do anything here that I wanted to do.
Well, I love you anyway.
Yeah, well, that doesn't work for me if it doesn't work.
Oh, come on. Is that the one? Sharon just sent it to you.
I'm going to send it.
She's gonna send it to you. And then Sharon, we have to send him a reminder before you leave today that I gave 4 lectures this month. Just you'll give him the dates so you can write the check.
You'll have to give me the things.
All right.
So let's see what you sent me. Hold on, because we have 2
No,
minutes
she
now.
hasn't sent it yet. She's sending it now.
Oh. Hopefully, I have this still. That'd be
She
interesting.
sent it.
Huh. Where's this?
Did it get sent, Sharon?
I see.
She sent it.
I don't have time to even prepare my notes because I've been, whatever, it's a long morning here. So what program is this? This was Thursday, so 9:09,
This is
9:11.
about talking.
And this one is, what do we entitle this one? I sent it out this morning.
Private passion to public treasure. The Goulandris collection, plus 2 short videos on that people asked such good questions last week. I prepared 2 little lecture videos.
I had to research the Cycladic. I sent it out to people. Why is it called? By the way, some people say Cycladic, so I don't know which is right.
I don't care.
It's from the word circle. It's for the islands.
Yes, the circular islands, right?
Well, you had to go back one more step, so I did that in the.
I'm sorry, but I now sent them 2 very short videos on
Private passion to public treasure, the Goulandris family. Okay.
You can ask Sharon. I prepared. So we prepared. I'm connecting them to 4 great collections, including the Frick. I mean, if we had endless time, I have so many more lectures I want to do.
I
know.
But
I'm not an idiot, but I am going to say it's a $3 billion collection, and it's fascinating. They were friendly with Chagall. It always starts how Peggy Guggenheim was friendly with the Guggenheim. I mean, that to me is the story, and that they started from their little island. It's so interesting.
Well,
and then I sent them the video that's in Greek that they can watch on their own time that tells everything about it. It's just so fascinating.
Okay, let's see. That works, what you just sent me. Okay, so hopefully this will all be available. Let's see, because I gotta let people in.
But you should also just write down the.
You'll have to.
Oh, good. That worked. Okay.
The 4 lectures are. I'll give them to you right now.
Okay, so Toby, I gotta let people in.
All right, let them in.
You'll do it if.
I'll give it to you right now. 4 lectures were the first one was
Admit all. Disable. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Good to see you all. We're about to get started. Toby, we need you in your chair. You're in the back of the room there. We are now, wow. Look how far in June we've come. I don't know where June went. Hope you all have had a good June so far, a few more weeks. Don't forget to go see Beverly Jacobs' exhibit in Santa Ana if you have an opportunity in the next few weeks. I'm making sure everyone gets into the room. We are, what day is it today? It's Thursday. It is June 19th. It's 1 week after. I feel like we just spoke, Toby.
We
Is that what
just
happens?
speak, and I love it. I'm an
Is that what
addict.
happens to everybody that talks to you? Like they finish talking and then they come back a week later and feel like they never left.
Halavai, halavai. I wish my life was that way.
Yeah, well, it is 1 week later. It is 10 a.m. Pacific, June 19th, 1 p.m. on the East Coast in Greece. What time do you think it is? Should we guess or someone will look it up for us?
You're good at that, not me.
Yeah. So this is part two of a two-part series. The series was entitled Timeless Forms, Lasting Legacies, Art from the either Cycladic or Cycladic. I've heard it both ways, to contemporary. Today we're going to focus on the Goulandris family collection. So I'd really love to know if any of you have actually been to this collection in Greece. So if you have, drop it into chat. Hopefully chat is working today. I know you have, Toby. Let me,
I've been there twice.
I don't know what's going on with chat. Like about a week ago, Zoom did some update and they messed up chat. And so when people have been trying to chat, some people have said they haven't been able to do it. So I will try to chat to me. If you can't, then if I don't get any chats from you in the next minute or two, I'll know there's something wrong with the chat. I'm trying to open it up and see what is going on here, but of course, oh, there we go. Let's try that. I'm going to open up to everybody and anybody, and so that should allow you to chat as we go along. Please don't over chat. Anyway, so this is CSP online program number 911, I believe. And we've dedicated this series in honor of Steve Chase. Many of you know Steve from Orange County, California. He's coming with us on our Greece adventure. He's a great traveler, and we're happy to have him with us.
Beverly Jacobs said to everyone it worked. And I think, Beverly, you also said it's 8 o'clock, right? 8
8
p.m.
o'clock in Greece.
Oh,
So,
right.
gosh, I guess I'll be in Greece in a few months, hopefully looking at some of this art that you've taught us about. I sent you all kind of a follow-up which we always do after the first program, to give you a little bit more background on the word Cycladic and where that word comes from. And apparently it's because there's a circle of islands around the island of Delos. And that's the origin of the word. It's from the word circle. Okay. So that helped me understand a little bit of background. Today, we're going to go back a little bit and work a little bit more about the Cycladic art, and then we're going to go to this collection. And very happy to have Toby with us. That's all I have to say today. We have many programs coming up, occsp.net. Check it out and join us for the rest of the summer. And thank you for donating during our 25th anniversary. We really appreciate it. Okay. Toby, you want to take it?
I do. I'm giving up I'm very happy that I'm an artist, I'm a teacher and all that, but I really want to use every minute because I am so excited about this. And I will tell you that I really love being an educator on this program because I feel that you all really care. So I changed it, and Sharon just walked out of the room. We added 2 1-minute videos because you asked so many good questions about Cycladic art, and these are short, but they're to the point, and they're going to talk about, and you're going to see the museums. So, and then we're going to talk about this amazing husband and wife that raised a $3 billion collection. And one day I want to do a lecture that compares 7 or 8 of those great museums, like the Frick, like the Phillips, like the Hirshhorn, like there's so many people that decided they wanted to change the way people look at art, that they built their own foundations. And it's very, very, the Guggenheim was Peggy Guggenheim helped her cousins open it. So I think that's very exciting. So now let's start with the 2 first videos. The first one is going to be about a specific, very famous piece. And I tested it at some of my students from the SVA summer residency program. And they say, we've seen that so many times. And I said, yeah, because these were made by different people. It's the harp piece. Now, you all do know this, or if you don't know this, that Rodin did bronzes of this, the Thinker, and He did different things in stone and in bronze, and there's more than one of them. But this is an ancient piece. We don't know the exact artist, but look at this piece. You've seen many, many versions of these all over the place, including the Met. But listen to this one. It's fascinating. All right, it's a short video. I'm not related to the Khan Academy.
We're in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, and we're looking at a small sculpture of a man seated on a chair playing a harp. But what makes this a remarkable object is that it's probably about 5,000 years old.
There are only about 10 of these that have been discovered in the Cycladic Islands in the South Aegean.
Mostly what we found are tall, thin, highly abstracted female figures, and these have mostly been found in graves.
And they were produced over hundreds and hundreds of years, of various sizes.
We don't know a lot about these sculptures, and the reason for that is that perhaps only 10% of these figures have been recovered by modern archaeologists in controlled conditions. The vast majority of these sculptures, male and female, have come to light on the art market. That is, somebody has gone in and unearthed them in order to sell them. The result is that we have no scientific archaeological records of where they were found, at what level they were found, so the chronology, etc., is almost impossible.
Right, we don't know what they were found with. We don't know anything about the context of the find. And in fact, we'll never know because that knowledge is just permanently lost. So not only do we have a problem with the archaeological record, but we also have a problem because these are so popular in the early 20th century. They were discovered by modern artists, and therefore we think many of them may have been created as forgeries.
So the art market, we think, is awash with authentic objects that have been unearthed illegally, as well as forgeries. That is, objects that have been produced in the modern world in order to look as if they were ancient. And when we look at these objects, we can see why the modern artists fell in love with these. There's a kind of simplicity. We know that Brancusi responded to these. We know that Modigliani responded to these. We know that Picasso loved these objects.
They're highly abstract, and they look that way to us in a way that is not really true to what they originally looked like. We know that areas of the sculptures were painted with very bright colors, and so this pristine white marble abstract form that we so appreciate in the modern era is not what the people of Crete were producing.
And look at the differences between the male and female figures. The male figures are rounded. The furniture is rounded. It's tubular. The figure's head is back as if perhaps he's singing, but of course we don't know. There is a little projection from that harp which we think may be the head of a bird, perhaps a swan. Again, we really don't know. Whereas the female figures are more frontal, more planar, and they are incised in a way that accentuates the geometry of their bodies.
Not only are the female figures abstract, but they're also very compact. The limbs are folded in. There's no space between the arms and the torso. There's no space between the legs. The knees are just slightly bent. There's no real sense of movement.
It is a closed composition that emphasizes the overall contour of the figures. Look at the shield-like shape of the face and the way that the nose projects. They're beautiful without eyes, but there were painted eyes. There was a painted mouth. We initially see these as flat, but when we spend a moment looking at them, we see that the head is at one angle, the neck at another. Then we have the more complicated surface of the torso, and then it seems as if the thighs project outward and the shins inward again, and then of course we have the reverse with the feet. And so there is this almost slight accordion-like folding of the body.
With later Greek sculptures, we might think about chore figures from the 7th century, much later and on the Greek mainland. There we see male figures nude and female figures clothed. And here these female figures are all nude. That has led some art historians and archaeologists to speculate that maybe these are somehow related to Neolithic fertility goddesses.
But the key word here is speculate, because we have no written records. All we have is the object itself. They have been stripped of all of their original cultural meaning, and in some ways that is also a very modernist idea, that we can appreciate the aesthetics, the object itself, unencumbered by what their real meaning was.
No, I loved starting this with you, and I'm happy we didn't see it last week, because I was hoping last week you would come to it looking at it as an art piece like they talked. But does this answer, many of you I felt had questions last week, and that's why I put this in. Was that rewarding for you guys? Can you just show me a yes? Like,
I think a fundamental question that this answered, which
Yeah.
I looked up, was what were these objects used for? So we don't
Well,
know exactly, but
That's a machlokes. I love this.
right,
Is
machloket, which is a Greek word, and but what this video clarified is that they were found in buried in with people, and that's
That-
just a piece of information that people wanted to know, I think.
and the other thing I wanted to tell you is I know for a fact that many of them were forgeries because I have a friend who's an art historian who was looking at Modigliani's studio and found a lot of the ones that I think I told you last week. If I didn't, I apologize. That Modigliani, like them as many artists did, and they would go to Greece and they would buy the pieces that were forged. And that's why, do you remember last week? I hope you remember, it's only a week ago. I showed you how they could be made, with the stones that they did it. So people were doing that not really as forgeries, but as copies because they didn't care about the value of them. The other very important thing is if you notice on the hair, sometimes you see it coming out a drop, and that is because they would paint that. I love it without anything, but I'm very happy this person at the museum talked about Brancusi because Brancusi never talked about that. Now there's one other very short video, and then we're going to talk about this amazing husband and wife that had a beautiful love affair. That's what you're going to be seeing. The gold work is gorgeous. These are great artists. All of them are artists I've talked to you about. So that is like a little preview. Since you're gonna, whoever's going there, you should spend time. The gift shop is great. The coffee shop is amazing, and the art is fantastic. And you'll see how other artists are influenced by them. So that was from last week. Still, I wanted to fix that up because I didn't feel we had enough. So this is this amazing couple, and what excites me about them is they were very rich, but they really, how big is the man on the harp? Oh, it's around this big, like I think 12 inches. They vary in size, 9 inches, 12 inches, not that big. What I love about them is they were not like most rich people. They really were passionate about art. I'm going to say something, even though I feel bad that it's being taped. I didn't love all their taste. I have to be truthful. But later they hired somebody, and at the end of the lecture, I'm showing you the man they hired as a curator, and he helped them amass a beautiful collection. One of the only artists that they were very close with who helped them was Chagall. And you'll see that they loved Chagall, and they had a really nice piece of his. but they started. Let's see the first video, and then either I will read it or somebody will volunteer to read it. They start, the genesis of the collection is fascinating. Oh, all right, let's do that one first. I thought we had a little video. No, there's one right before that. The museum was founded in 1979 by the one before that one. You missed one slide. I print everything out, so this is the net. Yes, that's beautiful. Ari, do you want to be our reader? Because you have a much nicer voice than me.
Thank you. I'm happy to read this for you. That's the Basil and Elise Goulandris collection. Do we know how they made their money, by the way?
Oh, I remember, but I don't remember. Let me ask. Sharon might remember. It might have been shipping. I don't remember, but it's
Okay,
a lot of money.
We'll have Sharon research it while we're reading.
Right.
Museum was founded in 1979 by the Goulandris Foundation, since Andros is the birthplace of Vasilis Goulandris. Initially, at the museum were exhibited works of an artist from Andros named Mikhaili Tobru,
Yeah.
and works from the personal collection of Vasilis and Eliza Goulandris. In 1986, a new wing was created, presenting periodic exhibitions of important artists or specific periods of art.
So this to me is so important. And why am I saying this is because if they had stayed from the island where they came from, this would never have been important. And I'm sorry to say, I think the artist that they loved is a nice artist, but not earth-shattering. We would never be spending this much time on that. And I want to explain to you that passionate collectors sometimes fall for art for different reasons. And as an art collector grows and changes, they really become much more sophisticated. And when you see what happened to their museum and you see the breathtaking pieces in the collection now, they had this amazing curator that helped them, and Chagall helped them, and a few artists that they met helped them. And then they amassed a collection and picked pieces that were twofold. One, they're gorgeous. And the second, and one of my favorite stories is they knew that there were certain artists who did not have the perfect pieces by them in other museums, and they bought them at auction so that other museums would want to borrow those pieces for them. So when they wanted to do a major show, the major museums would loan to them. Now, I don't know if any of you understand this, but in case you do know it, I'm going to say it anyway for those of you who don't know it. So when you're a major museum and you want to put on a really good show, you have to make a deal with other museums that own great pieces, and you do a program. I will give you this piece, but next year or in 2 years, when I do a show of that artist, I want that. Now, they were a Nachtschlepper. They were not a great museum in the beginning, and many museums didn't want to loan them work for their big shows. And that is how this amazing collection started. So let's look at the first video. I just want you to see how the building gets built. It's very exciting when you see how something starts from nothing. This is an amazing video. So I love that because you really see that they decided when they opened up a museum to make it first rate. Now, Sharon did look it up. I was right, Ari. They were merchant shippers. They were the big shipping company. There's a beautiful quote. I sent you some articles also. They were madly in love with each other. And I want to read you one thing about they each said about the other. He talks about her beauty surprised me every time. She was just the most all-around person. She enlightened everything around her. She writes, he spoke little, listened a lot, not at all embarrassed by silence, but as soon as he opened his mouth, I gathered all my concentration so I would not miss a word. They really, I'm in awe of their marriage. It's so different than many other couples who were collectors. They really understood they were doing something for Greece and in particular for Athens. So that's what they look like at the young age. They're beautiful pictures. When you come into the museum, the first picture you see is a portrait of her by Chagall, who loved her very much as well. But let's start with the first painting I want to talk about. Go to the next. Stop that. Go back. Sorry, I'm sorry, Ari. You're such a nice person. The collection, and it says them, are the most important private collections assembled in the course of the second half of the 20th century. The collection focused on modern and contemporary art, world-renowned artists such as Cézanne, Van Gogh, Gauguin, Monet, Degas, Rodin, Toulouse-Lautrec, Bonnard, Picasso. It goes through everyone. And I didn't show you a Botero because, or maybe I did, but I didn't think I wanted to because I wasn't that crazy about it. But they also spent part of their collection on collecting important Greek artists, and they very often have permanent. They have a permanent show, but they also sometimes have these brilliant shows of Greek artists. So I wanted this picture. As Sharon helped me put this together. This is not we made this slide. And I love that you see that beautiful Degas dancer in there. The Israel Museum has a beautiful one also. And I had a great uncle from South Africa who bought one of those too. It's just such an elegant piece that sits in the middle of the room. Behind that, unfortunately, I don't know if you know this, but I have to tell you this. He was an anti-Semite. And he wasn't friendly with Pizarro. And he wouldn't even, after the Dreyfus affair, he wouldn't let him in his house. And he wouldn't let his dealer, who was a Jew, come to his house. But I still think he was a great artist. So look at the way the walls are painted. It's just, they set up the museum like a gem. Very much like, and one day I want to do a lecture like that. Look at the Barnes or look at the Phillips. All those, and obviously in New York, the Frick, they paint the walls a certain color to enhance the way the paintings look. All right, let's go to the next one. Now that is one of the most beautiful little Jackson Pollocks. It's not big, but you feel, number one, it's a square. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many square Jackson Pollocks. They were looking, this was done only 6 years before he died. They're looking to find pieces that other museums don't have, that if they have another big show, they can loan that work out. So why do I love this so much? And why did I start with this piece? I happen to like Jackson Pollock. But what I like most about this piece is usually Jackson Pollock, you see his arm moving all the way around. And on here, it's because it's so small, you can really focus that he takes the brush and dips it in the paint and then takes it and knocks it against the paint. And you can see there's beautiful red there, there's beautiful yellow, there's black, there's white. Now it's done on masonite, which is not typical. Usually he would do it on canvas, and the masonite holds the paint very differently than canvas. All right, let's go to the next one. Now this is exciting for me because what they did brilliantly, this is a Van Gogh that you see, if you look at the green in the background, you see how flat that color is? They do not pick, either Van Gogh they have are not typical. but that yellow reminds you of the later pieces, the earlier pieces that I did that were more insane. This is 2 years before he died. So I want you to understand something. I want you to understand they're collecting for not only what they love as a beautiful picture, but they want to do something that most other museums and institutions don't have. That to me is why I'm so obsessed with this collection. Take a look at the yellow and look at that flat green in the background. And you see those little blue spurls in there. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I'm telling you now anyway, that one of the people that were most influenced by Van Gogh is the English artist David Hockney. And you'll see that Hockney did a whole show based on his influence by Van Gogh. And if you see this, he does quite a few with quite a bit of flat color. All right, let's go to the next one. I saw somebody in the chat. I didn't see the answer. Online discussion about this collection. The couple died childless. Yes, yes. I forgot to mention that. Yes. So it's prolonged. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Collection is noted to be worth around 3 billion. I did say that, but yes, you are right, Jeffrey. Thank you for bringing that up. There's a video at the end. It's too long. But you'll see that the man who was their advisor who told them what to do. The yellow is undergoing chemical change, so it is more greenish. Thank you. God, you're a smart guy, Jeffrey. I love it. I was going to talk about that in the next one of Vincent van Gogh. I love that people are chatting. That's why I teach. I love the chat. All right, let's go to the next image. Now this, I don't know about any of you. I love this piece because it's so much cleaner than his usual work. And if you look at this, I don't know if it brings to mind to you, but it definitely brings to mind to me that Gauguin, he was also obsessed with Gauguin, and that bluish color and that yellowish color has a really beautiful, quiet, intense feeling to it. And that beautiful red oxide that goes around the side really gives it a nice feeling of looking into a table in a kitchen. Now, this was a very important piece that they got because I don't know about any of you, and I'm very curious. I have not seen many pieces like this of his in my life. It's very beautiful to see in real. I saw it there and I was totally blown away. But it's set up very much as a structure. Has anyone seen any paintings by Van Gogh like that? If you have, I'd love to know where they were.
Well, give people a chance to put it in the chat. While they're chatting, a question came up. Is everything you're showing us right now on permanent exhibit? So when people go in?
Yes. Thank you, Ari. I love you from 1 to 10 and 11. They are, unless they're on loan to another museum. So what this museum does brilliantly, they have so much work that most pieces are up usually, but and very often you go to the museum, and if you want to know about a specific piece, you can do that. I know at the Phillips, because I'm in there. The Phillips only has 3% of their collection up usually. They have a lot of their collection up usually, and you can email them and write, is this going to be up if you're looking for a specific painting? But yes, most of these are up usually. I only pick pieces that are usually up.
And then another question was, do you know the curator here or in the other museum?
Yes. So the funny, interesting thing is the man that I'm showing the long video, it's in Greek. Sharon and I had a lot of discussions. I wanted to show a little of it, and she said they're going to get bored. And right now they still like you. You can see it after me being there. So, but you can see more about them. So each museum has different curators. And as in any museum, you have curators that work on the permanent collection, and then you have curators who work on the special collections. I only met one of the permanent people when I was there, but they're not always there. And it's not always easy to get. You mean like, can you go there? When you go there, will you meet them? Is that what you're asking? very hard.
Well, that's a subtext. The first question was, "Dear Toby Kahn, do you know any of these curators?" And the second
Yes,
is,
I've met
if you
quite a few.
happen to know them and we happen to be going there, can we meet them? But
I
the
can
first
try,
person,
but it's very hard. Very hard. I use the fact that I teach at SVA and that I've shown at all these museums that they like, and I usually wiggle my way in there, but I'm not very close with them.
no one has posted. I'm wondering if anybody in the audience has been to this museum. So if you have, put it in the chat because I'd be interested to know if anybody has actually done it yet.
All right, now let's look at the next one. I have my little clock here because I'm so scared. I love teaching and working with you guys, but I usually have 2 hours and I get much less time with you. So I'm trying to go quickly. Now look at this. Anyone know the story of why people are obsessed by these cathedrals? Well, I'm making believe that you don't know. So the story is that he was what's called a plein air painter. And a plein air painter means that you paint outside. But what that means is the light changes very quickly. And what he did is he would bring 6 or 7 canvases together in a little pile and had put them right next to each other. And as the light changes, he would pick another canvas to work on. And that is why somebody said to me, how did he find the right spot all the time? Well, he brought the canvases each time together, so he was sitting in the same spot. The ones he did at Big Ben are done that way too. The one of the haystacks were done that way too. So he liked certain spots and he would constantly go back to these spots. The reason I love this so much is that color is such a gorgeous purpley color. So that is exciting.
Sorry, there's a question since you mentioned it. How fast would he have to paint this then?
Very good. So he would bring his whole little easel and things and he would be painting. Light doesn't change, or you can play with the light for like a half an hour to an hour. And sometimes at certain times of the day, you have more time. Like if you're painting from 10 to 11 is different than if you're painting from 5 to 6 at night, because there's not as much change in the sky. It's where the sun is in relationship to your canvas. I love your questions. Please, please, please ask questions like that. Yeah, let's go to the next. Now, this is a Cézanne. I don't know if you guys know this, but I think Cézanne is one of my favorite artists of all time. He was amazing. And this was made in 1881 and 82. He lived to be, he died in 1906. And if you look at this, look at that sky. The sky is beautiful and very active. It's an active sky. And if you look at the yellow and the green and even the leaves on the trees, I don't know if you know, there's a hairline. Ari, can you blow that up a little, or is that impossible? I would love them to see up close. The surface is so good. There you go. Oh, Ari, I love you. There it is. There it is. Wow. Now, who does that remind you of? American watercolorist and painter John Marin. I believe, this is Tobi Kahn speaking, I'm not an art historian, but look at that beautiful mark making. Now you can see there's a lot of white there from the canvas, and you can see he painted wet on wet. Wet on wet means that he didn't wait until the bottom was dry. He painted on top of it, and that's why you see those beautiful little marks in there. And you can see that he uses the brush and he swirls it. Ari, can you show right down there? Look at those beautiful swirls all the way to the left. Right there, Ari, I love you. Right there. Oh my God. You see that? So then it makes you feel that there's wind and there's movement. And you look at the sky, it's just so beautiful. And he's not scared. Look at that. He leaves so much open space in the sky. All right, now we're going to go to the next. I'm going quickly because I'm very careful about my time. Now, this is an amazing self-portrait. This is Cézanne. So you're seeing a landscape of Cézanne. By the way, this is one of the most, this has been shown at so many museums. This has been on loan very often. looking over his shoulder. So how do you know what he's doing? He's looking at a mirror. There's a mirror next to the canvas. The mirror would go on one side, the canvas would be on the other, and you'd see him looking over his shoulder and painting. Now, what's very beautiful about this is look at his eyes. They're very piercing. You feel like he's concentrating on the viewer. What is his own style of painting? Does he belong to a group or other artists? Yes, he would be in post-impressionism. It's still impressionism, but he's now finding his own language. You should also know draftsmanship was not his strength. And if you look at his ear, that is not totally the way an ear would look. It's more of a painted ear. And if you look at his nose, he just puts black to give it structure. But I love his work. And you see the beard lines, they're more expressionistic. And if you look at the beard lines and you go back to those tree paintings, Ari, if you're going to kill me, tell me later, but I'm having so much fun and you can do it. If you look at that, now look at this, look at the way he treats the trees and look at his beard. This to me is why I love teaching. You can see that he likes working with a small brush and leaving those same marks. So you see his beard, you can see that he has a brush with white on it. He would most probably hold 5 brushes in his hand. You know what? I'm going to try and do this for all of you. Ari, can you give them me again? I want to get me. He would hold the brushes. Alice Neal does that too. He'd sometimes have brushes like this and it'd take that down and it'd pick up and he would switch brushes to different colors that he did. So that's why Alice Neal, very often the color mixes very much on the canvas. His, you can see that he had different colors and they're not fat brushes. Different people use different size brushes. You can see by the size of the beard mark or the sky that they're a similar size brush. All right, that to me is so exciting to look at. Also, he mixes the paint, again, as I told you, wet on wet, and that's why, look at his cheek, his high cheek. There's a little white in there, but there's also yellow ochre. There are many, many different colors in there, and that's why I'm in love with him. He just really let the painting do all the talking. All right, let's go to the next one. Now, this is Chagall, the portrait of her. I find this so beautiful. He really was close to them. And I love that that is, when you pay for your tickets, that is the first image you see. And it says EBG. That's her initials. And I find this very beautiful. I don't know about you. It doesn't look like most of his other women. It's just so sensitive and beautiful. I love the tilt of her face. And wait, go in the corner on the top. Oh, you go back up a little. Who is that looking down? That's her husband. Do you see it in there? So I just find this so beautiful and so poignant. And you can tell he knew her well, and you could tell she was very comfortable sitting for him. Very different than usual. It's more of a Fauvist palette. You see that little dog in the front also. It's really about friendship and beauty. And I like that really a lot. All right, let's go to the next one. Do I think it's the best Chagall I've ever seen? No, I don't. I love it, but I love it for what it is. Now, this Picasso is one of the best Picassos I've seen. Look at how young he was when he did this. He was born in 81. He did this in 2007. So he was 26 years old. And look at, you can see cubism in there. You can see the woman's body in there. But you can see that he's very interested in masks. He's very interested in African art. He's very interested in a cubist sense of space. There's really not a deep foreground, middle ground, background. And he breaks the structure into almost a V. So the body's in the middle, but on the left side, you have that black and white. And on the right side, you have that greenish color, and then you have something behind her body, but she's looking right at you. It's called Nude Woman of Raised Arms. I again think this was a very shrewd move of theirs to get this painting. I don't know if you could tell in the original picture I showed you, they're showing them without the frames. Most of the frames were bought later and were not part of the work. In that first photograph that you see in the museum, you'll see it has a gold frame around it, but that is not how he had it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now, Giacometti, to me, is one of the most important artists of the 20th century. And what I like is most of his bronzes don't have that brownish greenish patina. And it says 0 of 6. That means there's an artist proof and then 6 other ones. And this was done when he was in his 50s, and he is carving down very, very carefully. Look at how skinny the face is, but you'd be shocked at how many details the breast and the face have. But the hair, but what's fascinating is look at all the way on the bottom, you'll see the feet are very big, because if they weren't big, they would fall over. So look at how huge the feet are and the pedestal they're on. Now, who does that remind you of? If you say big feet and big hands, it makes you think of Rodin. But the difference is Rodin is big all the way around, and here the big area is just in the feet. He wanted it to feel like they were fragile, but they were sticking up straight. One of the most famous pieces, I think I told you last week, but I'm going to repeat it, that what Giacometti said, what makes a great sculpture, not what you leave, but what you take away. And they are so thin sometimes they get into a pencil line. They're so thin. Now, right after this, we're going to go to the next artist who I love. I know I'm going quickly because there's another solo show that I really want you to see and spend time on. But this is a beautiful self-portrait of Francis Bacon, and it's a study of a self-portrait. And what I love about that is you see his face, and if you ever see what he really looks like, that is what he really looks like. He was he was a major nutcase, but I think he's one of the greatest artists of our time. And he loved painting with a flat color in the background. He did that for a while with the color red, and sometimes with black, and sometimes with brown, but he has these shapes that look like they're in motion. But it's a very good example of his work. Let's go to the next one. So now we're getting to, which I wanted to have at least 20 minutes for. We're going to what I think one of the great artists named Takis. Does anyone know him? Put it in the chat if you know him. Is Chagall also a post-impressionism? Nah, Chagall really doesn't fit into any category. He's really his own category. He went to more than, he went through different periods. But I want you to understand, this guy is he had a big show at the Tate, and I'm showing you the video of him at the Tate, but he has this show in Greece that is really about where he grew up. And it's such a beautiful show. Does anyone know him? I'm curious, anyone know Takis? All right, so I had a teacher who was married to a Greek, and that's how he knew him. That's what he looked like at the end of his life. He lived to be in his 90s. Very interesting, very funny. So now we'll go to the next one, and we'll see the video of him from the Tate, and you'll understand what he's doing.
Before we go there, a question from Beverly, one of the artists on, about who chooses the frames for the paintings. Does the artist choose a frame? Does the curator choose the frame? Does the museum choose the frame? Does the buyer choose? Like, who chooses?
All right. Excellent question. You are hired and come to all my classes. Thank you, because you're a ploy. So the Luce Foundation has, if anyone comes to the Met, I will try and get you in there, but the Luce Foundation has a collection of frames that they bought for the Met, because very often the paintings that are put on a piece of art are not necessarily the right paintings for the piece of art, or the frames for the piece of art. Now, I think I told you this, but if I didn't, I teach in a few places that Georgia O'Keeffe only wanted a stainless steel frame around her work. That was her important thing. Nobody else liked it other than her. It was a very thin, like this thin, really thin frame. And so she puts it on all her work, and she makes everyone know, including her husband, who had the gallery called Century of 100 or something like a century something or another. And he sold them with the frame, but every museum that I've been in adds another frame over it, because you're not allowed to take it off, but they add another frame to it. So it looks like it's a little silver thing around it and then a big ornate frame on top of it. So who chooses for what museum? Some museums have a standard type of frame that they want for certain art. Sometimes it's the dealer, sometimes it's, and meaning the gallery, and sometimes it's the collector. But you should never mix up the frame with the painting. Now I'm going to show you these frames, this frame of that Chagall put on his paintings, and you'll say to me, "Oh my God!" But that's what he liked. So let's look at that. Let's look at Takas, because he's very different. Did that answer the question good enough, Ari?
Well, it's up to Beverly. She's saying yes.
Beverly, yes. Thank you. I never want to cross Beverly.
I mean, there was a Jeff Kaufman says there are artists made frames as well, and he references Thomas Eakins. So that's
And Tobi Kahn. My
Tobi
show
Kahn.
that's opening at the Boca Raton Museum from 1980 to 1993. I made all my own frames. I was obsessed about it. But then I decided I didn't want to frame anymore. Now let's see this. This is great.
It's an amazing thing.
Panagiotis Vasilakis, the artist known as Takis, was born in 1925 in Athens. His childhood took place during the occupation by the Germans and the Italians in World War II, and immediately after was followed by a Greek civil war. He was very involved in different political groups at the time and became a sculptor later in his life, in his late 20s. As a young man, Takis took great interest in ancient sculpture in particular, and his early work show an indebtedness to that, but also to modern sculpture. He was particularly interested in the work of Giacometti and Picasso. He was self-taught and an autodidact in all types of material, whether it was philosophy or history or politics. He moved to Paris in 1954, and it's in Paris that you see this transformation of his sculpture. There are two key moments in Takis' work. One happens around 1957, after a trip from London, and while waiting for the train, he becomes inspired by the flashing lights and the antenna and aerials that he sees around the station platform. He started to make sculpture, which he called signals, and which became one of his most iconic type of work. The other key moment happens in 1959, when the artist discovers magnetism as a way for sculpting. He looked for a way to break the conventions of what sculpture could be. Instead of a solid, heavy form, he tried to create a kind of sculpture that floats in space. When the artist has defied gravity and defied the forces that normally keep us on the ground. In preparation for an exhibition of Takis' work, I had the opportunity to travel to Athens in 2017 with my co-curator, Guy Brett. Guy and Takis have a long-standing relationship. They met in the early 60s in London when Guy was an art critic, and they became very involved in an artist-run space known as Signals Gallery. Takis is living and working in Athens to this day. He's been there since the mid-80s, and in 1993 he created a research center for arts and the sciences called the Kete Foundation, and is now known as the Takis Foundation. It's a research center, it's a library, an archive, and it's also the studio where the artist makes his work.
So elemental.
Takis often comments that the focus of his work is around energy, and sound is one of those key elements of energy. It's an invisible force that Takis makes present using a number of different devices. It's something contemplative, and Takis has often thought about it in relationship to the cosmos and to energy fields and the sounds of the universe. Takis' studio, he began developing it in the 60s, early 70s, and it wasn't completed until much later. It's on a hillside with a view of Athens and the Parthenon in the distance. It's a very strange and bewitching place with lots of movement, giant sculptures that are swirling in the wind. It's magical, and it was wonderful to see Guy, Brett, and Takis together, to see the friendship that they have been carrying on for so many years.
You asked me how I did this work.
Yes.
Well, I'll show you how I did it. This is giving energy, and I used to, every day I do, and by accident, it's the same thing.
Yes. Is energy a thing? I mean, it's.
Energy stays, you're inside you, energy. I feel more young than you. I know how to use the energy, first of all. I have the experience which you don't have because you are young. So, you don't know how to use your energy, therefore you are not young. I am young, not you. And I want to, want to spend my energy working on it.
Takis has a career that has spanned more than 70 years. Takis' works are mesmerizing. The way they use sound and light, they're constantly moving and changing. There's something sensual about these works that brings the audience in to look closely and take delight in these sculptural and sonic worlds. It breaks the conventions of what sculpture can be.
So I would like to spend a few minutes before we go to see the last video about the story behind the collection of the family. I want to hear from you. I'm so curious, and I'd like a few people to raise your hands if you found his work compelling. I don't mind if you didn't like it. I don't mind. How many of you found it compelling? How many of you found it like, you couldn't deal with it? Anyone who just couldn't deal with it? No. Wow, that's impressive. So let me tell you what some of my students, I teach a program at SVA for artists from all over the country. And I showed his work, as certain artists who are, anyone know who Ronnie Horn is? Ronnie Horn is a very important American artist. Ari, we should put her down and we'll show videos of her work. She is very influenced by him. And there are other artists like George Rickey, who are kinetic artists. And there are other people that are doing that. But what I love about his work is he's playful. He's nothing like Calder, but he plays with color and he plays with movement. And what interests me is, I love the way he said to the younger man who was interviewing him, I'm younger than you are, because he keeps on trying new things. But does anyone feel here when you see work like that, you feel like, what's going on? I mean, why are we looking at this? It looks like it's like science or game playing. Anyone want to come to its defense and say what you like about it? And then I will gladly say what I like about it. But anyone want to say what they find interesting about it in the chat?
I do note that Jeff Kaufman, who's been very active in today's chat, said that he saw Takis's work at MIT in
Yes.
1968 when he was a student there. So that is a nice connection
By the
between.
way, thank you for saying that, Jeff, because you know that MIT is one of the most interesting programs in the country where they invite artists to work with scientists and do collaborations there. I don't know if they were doing it way back then, but oh, they were doing it way back then, Jeffrey? Wow, you're so lucky. Wow. So I have a friend who's on the board there, and I've been trying to get them to invite me there for years. I love that program because they take artists and they let them work with scientists. I would love to do a program on healing. And I don't know if you know, there's a very famous music by Schoenberg and Berg, who are abstract musicians. And I like that whole idea of how music and art can come together to do things. And with tacos, you don't like that? You don't like Schoenberg or Berg? You're shaking your head. Can we unmute Jeff for a minute? I'm dying to hear what he thinks. No, nothing. All right. But I just want you to know that what's exciting about Tacos's work is that he's so famous now around the world, and they put the show together at the museum, and it puts it into a whole different context. Any questions about him before I want to go for the next 10 minutes or so to the story behind the collection, because a few of you asked me that, and there's a video here, and I want to start at 10 minutes and 5 seconds. It's in Greek, but I think it's really interesting to hear the story. But
There's a question about, can you visit that they showed
yes,
that view? What is it that you visit there to go see the view and the art?
That's his estate. That's his collection. I will try and get you that before the end of the week. I don't know if it's always open. No idea if it's always open, but I knew.
Have you been up there?
Yes, it's amazing. Yeah, it's beautiful. But a while ago, I didn't go there on this Kivunim trip because we didn't have the time, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to do it. But the show is on now, so you'll see the show. The show. I don't know if you have to go to that view. The show at the museum is so beautiful, and it makes you think of somebody like Brancusi. When you have art in a museum, is very different than art outside. There's also, I don't know if any of you know him, but I love him. His name is David Smith, and David Smith has a beautiful, Beverly, you're shaking your head, you know, on Bolting Landing, you know, where his place was. You see some of his work there. And if you go to a place like Storm King, or there's a beautiful room at the National Gallery of his work. And it's very exciting to see a whole body of work together in a space. All right. Any other questions before I want to go to the story behind the art collection? It's in Greek. I know it, but I was hoping I'd have 10 minutes to show you that. It's from 10:05. Can you start that part 4? It's 10:05 of, and then you'll see the story, the collection, the story behind the collection.
Well, just tell me if I have it correct. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm hoping you're having fun today. I love doing a program like this.
Is this the video right here?
I can't see it. It's black.
Well, it says WAF TV, Basil.
Yes. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I hope you can read it. Well, it's very well done.
Je pense que vous travaillez sur une nouvelle exposition d'importance sur les impressionnistes et les couleurs de la Méditerranée. Comment vous fonctionnez? Par des prêts, des échanges? Comment est-ce que vous fonctionnez pour faire des grandes expositions?
This is so important. I told you about this.
Avec des œuvres fragiles, par essence, et de grandes valeurs artistiques, etc.
Cette exposition-là est faite à base de prêts.
Oui.
Des prêts que nous sommes adressés à de grands musées, Centre Pompidou, musée d'Orsay, musée de Luxembourg, musée en Allemagne. Il y a 7 ou 8 musées qui prêtent, à part les collectionneurs.
Et votre collection aussi, des pièces de votre collection rentrent dans cette exposition aussi.
Nous n'avons pas. Non.
Je pose la question.
Ça va être séparé.
D'accord.
L'exposition, ça va être fait avec des prêts.
D'accord.
Mais nous, de notre côté, pour obtenir des prêts, nous faisons des prêts.
Voilà, une monnaie d'échange.
Donnant donné, oui. Alors, regardez, National Gallery de Londres fait une grande exposition anniversaire, donc il voudrait avoir les 2 Van Gogh. Marie qui négocie, qui est une négociatrice assez dure, il a dit oui, mais le directeur, donc il était venu ici nous voir, il était venu me voir, on a dit, bien entendu, donc l'art est fait pour être vu,
oui.
Pas pour être caché. Donc nous allons vous prêter, mais la place qui va rester vide, avec quoi nous allons le faire? Bon, on va voir, sauf que National Gallery sont des gens très exigeants, hein?
Oui.
Très exigeants. Et finalement, nous allons prêter les Elise Goulandris, la nature morte de Van Gogh, et de retour, nous allons prendre 2 tableaux qui ne rentrent pas thématiquement dans l'exposition qu'il pourrait faire. De même que Bonnard, nous allons prêter la sortie de la baignoire de Bonnard à la Fondation Mag.
Ah, très bien.
Alors, la Fondation Mag, je connais Mag, Jean Clair. Quand on a fait Miro à Andros, ils sont venus là. C'est Isabelle Mag qui me téléphone, il m'a dit, vous n'allez pas nous refuser le prêt de Bonnard. Je dis oui, le prêt de Bonnard, vous savez que Bonnard, de même que Matisse, sont très fragiles en peinture. Donc, mais vous nous l'avez prêté en 75. Mais en 75, ça fait 50 ans. Mais Isabelle, je dis, écoute-moi, qu'est-ce qu'on aura? Il me dit, je pourrais à la place vous prêter un Kandinsky ou un Braque. J'ai dit, envoie-nous les photos et puis on va voir. C'est comme ça que nous travaillons. C'est comme ça qu'ils travaillent.
Il y avait une monnaie d'échange, c'est important.
C'est l'échange. Miro, par exemple, il était à Bilbao, justement, à Guggenheim.
Oui.
Nous n'allons pas refuser des prêts, mais il faut quand même que les propositions soient
équilibrées,
oui. Claires, précises et sérieux.
D'accord.
Nous avons déjà la chance d'avoir des tableaux de référence. Le tableau de Braque qui est en bas, La Patience, c'est un tableau très important, ça.
Très, très beau.
Il a participé à toutes les expositions Braque, ce tableau-là. Parce que moi, je gérais cette collection-là de l'époque où il était à Paris. Et Basil Goulandris, non seulement il ne refusait pas de prêts, mais à un moment, il m'a réveillé la nuit, j'ai dit, mais qu'est-ce que vous êtes tombé du lit? Il m'a dit, non, mais il m'a dit, tu sais, il faut faciliter les tâches des musées. À combien nous allons assurer ce tableau? Je dis, Bonnard, il ne fait pas de prix, de grand prix. Enfin, quand même, ça pourrait être 10 millions. C'est un exemple. Hein,
je comprends bien,
Alors, il m'a dit, tu sais ce que nous allons faire? Nous allons déclarer prix d'assurance bas.
Oui.
Et nous allons payer nous la différence.
Ouf. Bien, bravo.
J'avais affaire avec des gens pareils.
Très bel exemple.
All right, now I can talk to you for the last few minutes. Oh, this is great too, but I just want you to understand, was this helpful for you? I wanted to give us these minutes and I hope you could read it all, but I want you to understand the background with museums. So now I'm going to tell you a little secret. I'm doing my big show in Boca. And because it's only got X amount of a budget, I wanted a catalog. I wanted the whole 2 big galleries in the museum. We made a deal that all the work would come from my studio or work that they owned. Why? Because we don't have to make different insurance loans to all my collectors that own the work on it. It's going to be there for 5 months. So all the work is work that I've collected, and most artists that I respect and know own a lot of their work. So when a major museum wants to do a show, they don't have to worry so much about getting the loans permitted. One of my favorite stories ever was when I had the show at the Guggenheim and Swiss Bank owned my work, they had to close the entire building to get my painting out there, and they put it into a special crate and had guards. And as I joked to the curator, they spent more on getting my piece out of Swiss Bank and the guards and the shipping than they paid for my work. But they only had one dial, and the dial was, if this is going to the museum, we have to have all that stuff around it of how protected it is. Another thing you'll notice, why in some museums do oil paintings have glass over them? If you don't know, now I'm telling you, and that is some museums will not loan paintings that don't have glass over it. And you know why that is? It's because there was a very famous story with the famous painting of the Mona Lisa that somebody came and painted on a little mustache. So I'm just telling you that now museums are very careful to protect the work very, very well. I have, I think, 3 minutes left because I don't want to get into trouble with Ari, but I'd love to open it up to any questions. And I hope you enjoyed this.
Thank you. People have enjoyed it. Here are quick questions. When museums do trades, is it an active trade for the same period of time,
No.
or is it a future trade, or can they also? It's like baseball. Can they
Chips,
say we'll
chips? Yes.
But can they say something like we'll trade this to you, but in a future time we're going to come back to you and ask for something? So
Yes.
does that have to be an active trade for
Well,
at that turn?
so the Nachtschlepper museums, it's very hard for them to get great paintings. Usually it's like a system that if you're the Met and I'll give you the famous story. Everyone knows the story, but maybe you don't. When people really wanted to see the work from the Hermitage. Anyone see that show that came to America from the Hermitage? None of the paintings at that time in the Hermitage had temperature control. So part of the deal was, oh, Beverly, you know the story because you're smiling. Oh, they had to restore all the paintings, and that was part of the deal. They didn't make the mess, but to get the paintings, they had to do restoration on many of the works, and that was part of their deal to get the Hermitage to loan the paintings out. So everyone else has different deals. Little museums try and get a certain amount of great paintings so that they can act with the big people, the grown-ups.
Okay, great. That's a good story. Last question for you is, so when we go to Greece, or when other people go to Greece and they go to, I guess the question is, when you go to Greece, where's your number one spot to go and number one art piece to see so that we can go there, take a picture and send it to you?
Well,
right. So that's the question.
I'm embarrassed to say, I don't know if you know this about me, Ari, I have like 5 favorite things. So I love seeing that room in the collection that has, I love the juxtapositioning in that room. So it's not about a specific piece. It's about how the Goulandris Museum set up the space to look at, like you turn to the left, you turn to the right, you turn all the way around, and you see these breathtaking pieces that look like they're in dialogue, but it's not obvious. When you go to the Cycladic Art Museum, I like that wall of the little figures all lined up. I also like the little gold pieces there. I also love the little Jewish museum there. And if you go there, I'm going to ask you to ask for a specific woman to give you the tour. She was brilliant, and you'll see they're like 3 or 4 great pieces, but I'll let her tell you what they are because she's right, and I photographed them all. And it's fun to hear it from a curator that's worked in a place for quite a while. The other thing that I want you to do, but you might not want to do this, and I made my Kivunim students do this, I want you to get up really early in the morning and watch sunrise and see. I'll tell you which mountain to be on. It's breathtaking to watch the city come alive. It's so beautiful, but it's a real schlep. But if that to me is a
So, well,
big,
you have to tell me now because everyone else is listening. Where do we go? Where do people go?
I will give it in writing. I'll write it down exactly where it is. It's you have to walk a certain way. But I think David, I don't know if David did it. Oh no, no. I will tell you exactly where it is.
Is there anything you want when we go there? Well, you send me. We'll pick you something up from the museum. Not an original.
No. I want you to enjoy yourself there. I think it's very special to go to the Museum of Cycladic Art and realize I believe in the Jewish narrative. I believe that we were once slaves in Egypt. I really believe that Abraham's father was an idol worship, a guy who dealt in idols. When you look at those little things, I want you to think of me for a minute. That art is not only about making money. Art is the creative process. And I believe that we all, even cave people, I believe needed to make art because it's like breathing. The other thing that I love more than anything is if you're going to go to any of the beaches, are you going to be anywhere other than Athens or not?
Yes, of course. We're going up to Thessalonica and over
Oh,
to
I love
Ioannina.
Salonika.
So we're doing kind of a
Oh, so then do me a favor, go by the water, stick your feet in, and photograph how beautiful your feet look against clean sand and water. It is so beautiful, and it makes me think of all the artists. I love sky and water paintings. Many people say to me that you must have spent time in Greece because you see those beautiful white beaches and that beautiful blue color because there's not pollution. I mean, I'm excited for you to see the sky and the water in Greece. That's my favorite part.
Thank you. Well, Jeff Kaufman's coming with us, and now he knows what to make sure we take photos of.
Oh,
So
great.
yeah, well, thank you so much. And our
So the
next
next
program,
week
we
is,
changed the date, people. We moved it to
I hope you
Wednesday.
know that I have to go to jury duty as much as I hate it. I believe in being an American and you have to do it. I tried to get out of it 3 times already, but I don't teach in the summer. And they sent me this date. And during the year, I always say, I'm teaching. So I can't change it. So it's on that Thursday. So we're doing it on Wednesday. I hope you come. But I'm going to show you a few things. I'm showing you 5 different artists who I admire greatly, who are very different, or photographers. And I'm doing something I've never done before, but I hope you feel like I'm part of your family, like I feel like you're part of my family. I'm showing you photographs I took in Greece where I got rid of all the people. I didn't edit it out. I just photographed on an angle. And then I showed you paintings I did based on the photographs that I took, because I want you to see how you can look and see things differently than anybody else because you're using your brain.
So tips on photographing on your adventures based in Greece, but will be applicable to anywhere you go. Okay. And we have Yana, who's a photographer, who's going to make sure to attend that program and give you her
Yana,
input.
thank you.
Okay.
I will tell you, I want to thank you all. There are many articles that I read on the family, and it's beautiful. I now have an entire 50-page of research that I did on Greece, and I thank you all for that. But I'm also excited. I didn't show you the Roy Lichtenstein in their collection because I don't think it's great. Feel bad to say that. But not every piece that they bought do I think is brilliant. But I think most of the collection is gorgeous.
So thank you. And just we'll end with people want to know where in Boca, which museum, and when will your exhibit start?
It's the only museum. It's the Boca Museum of Fine Arts.
And when will that start?
It will start in, when is it starting? November 2026. I have never worked so hard on a show before. They just got 5 of my works for their permanent collection. And in July, they're sending it down. And I am for the first time, I pray it works, but they've told me, so you're among the first people to hear this. They have a beautiful Al held in their lobby, and please God, B'li Nader, B'li Ayin Hara, everything. There'll be 24 of my sky and water paintings that will be up permanently in the lobby. So you'll walk up there and you'll see when you come in, first you'll see Al head and then Al held, and then on the other wall, you'll see 24 of my sky and water paintings as an installation. And that, I have to say, I am so excited about. It's the first time that I'm getting a major, I'm in many museum collections, but I'm getting a lobby image of mine that will be seen hopefully all the time.
So that's permanent.
That is permanent. Yes. I mean, all the museum, I'm in 50 or 60 museum, they're all permanent, but they're not always up.
Well, good news. Since
But
my
this is
parents,
gonna be,
since
please
my
God,
parents are, you just bought a place in Boca, I will definitely send them. Who knows? Maybe I'll go visit
wait,
them.
Ari, I will get you invited to the opening party if you're down.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Staying in
maybe
front of
maybe I have
everybody.
to go.
You
Okay.
gotta come. It's gonna be a fun. They're gonna be 4 or 5 openings, and the director has been great to me. And I'm gonna be open during Art
Well,
Basel, which is in Miami, also.
right. Well, maybe if we have any CSP donors in the area who want to email me, maybe we can invite them to
Okay.
meet up there. How's that? Okay.
Amen.
Take
Well,
care,
I'll see
everybody.
you all next Wednesday. Thank you for coming, Ari. I adore you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Toby. Good to see you,
Bye.
Rabbi Spitz. Take care, everybody.
Rabbi Spitz, love seeing you.
Yeah.
Bye.
He's coming on our trip, so
Oh,
he's
what a
doing his
dude.
research. I don't think
Great.
Yana's coming. Yana should definitely join us.
Great.
Beverly may join us. Okay, I gotta go, guys. I gotta do some work today.
Goodbye. Nice to see you all.